great. The excuse generator is just great.
The opinions expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity.
Hi, everybody. This is my phone. As the intro started, see, I don't know if you can see what it says there. It says, pasting from the other computer. I've been having all sorts of bizarro technical problems this morning. My other set of AirPods died randomly in the night. So we almost didn't have the hot seat today. Will you paste? Okay, you'll paste. And then as the thing started, I realized, oh, I didn't load the script into the teleprompter. I think we can start the show now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native. My name is Adrian Goins, and I have to pick a word from the list. What am I today? You know what? Today I'm going to be fired up. I'm fired up to be here with you. That sounds like a World Wrestling guy, like, raw. No. The purpose of this show is to share with you news and interesting content related to Kubernetes and Cloud Native, and to adjust the teleprompter, and to build a community of people who are interested in using technology to live a better life. If you're watching live, consider following or subscribing to the channel. If you're watching a replay, give the video a thumbs up. If you're watching live, give the video a thumbs up so that the algorithms do all the sharing stuff and stuff like that. Join the free community side and the Discord server. Links are in the video description, and I'll start scrolling them across the bottom of the screen. Live chat happens in Discord with a bot that relays between YouTube and Twitch. Come hang out with us either during the show or after the show, and it's Crazy Gift Friday. So, yeah, Discord, live chat, that's where it happens. Let's take a moment and say hello to everybody. Good morning, Duck, Nuno, Wifebot, Mose, hey, Samuel Dan. The gifs that all of you post are just hysterical. Like, I get distracted looking at the pictures. I can't even see who's posting them. Trufflebot, Stephen K, Ian, Wojtek, Cześć. Scrolling back. I saw Frank was here too. Ariel is here, wonderful. Good morning, everybody. Chrysalis, hello. And more gifts. Okay, today is a little... Sound is going off? Oh, hey, OFS. Let's see, where's my microphone? My microphone's there. Wifebot says that sound is fine, so... Yeah, everybody else says it's fine. Reload! Trufflebot, why is the sound broken? For some people. Oh, collapsed backbone. Yeah, that's why. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think, did it? It loaded yesterday's content into the teleprompter. That's so weird. How can it paste live from one machine to another and then randomly paste the content from yesterday's show? I'm thinking that as an Apple product, it is lying to me. Lying. Oh my gosh. Paste. Hang on, everybody. We got to get this right. Now it's backwards. Can I see this? Is it... What's today's content? News. Yes, good. We're up. All right. A bunch of tweets from yesterday went out with the bad YouTube URL video link. I apologize for that. I don't know what happened. Trufflebot. Somebody asked Trufflebot why it broke. There was 4 of them, so they're going to go out again today, later on in the day. So if you missed them yesterday and you were like, what? XXX? That's not a YouTube link. It was a placeholder because I was doing a search and replace, and it failed. Clipboard underrun. Good, nice. And then, of course, today... Who pasted that? Nuno. Point for Nuno. Oh, my gosh. Today is Hot Seat Redo. Yesterday, Discord decided that I wasn't going to be able to talk to the winner of the Hot Seat, and so I already have him on the call. And that means that we'll bring him on in just a moment. But then today is also a Crazy Friday, so it's the brain dump, which means that every Friday, if we get 50 people, whatever, if we get 50 people watching between YouTube and Twitch, then I give away a Udemy course to someone in the live chat channel on Discord. This week we are giving away the complete traffic training course. You know, Traffic rebranded themselves, well, Containers rebranded themselves to Traffic Labs, and in doing so, they turned mesh into mesh. That makes sense if you know what I'm talking about. And they turned traffic into traffic, because that's what people have just been saying anyway. I'm going to keep saying traffic. There used to be a blog that they had that said, how do you pronounce traffic? Because it's traffic, triffic, trific. Depending on what origin your language comes from, you might pronounce the AE differently. And they said it's like the E in aesthetics. So it's not quite an it's more like an eh. If you don't study languages, those two words probably sounded the same. Anyway, I'm going to keep saying traffic. So it's the complete traffic training course, which is an awesome course by Brian Christner. And today it's still on sale because Black Friday. So that's great. I don't have to pay $90 for it. Somebody's going to win this if we get 50 people watching between YouTube and Twitch. Wifebot will shout out. Somebody just said something to my name. RestreamBot. Hey! Everybody say hi to Waleed Shari. He was on yesterday he was actually in one of the Espresso tweets. He's watching from Twitch right now. And he wanted to thank for the mention about his CKS resources. And he's in the process of moving his house, so he can't stay long. So everybody say hello. Thanks for joining, Waleed. It's nice to see you. Okay, so today's tool of the day content, sorry, not tool of the day, today's A/B test content, I just went right to the end of the show. It's gonna be that kind of a day. Today's A/B test content requires that I bring on Sam. Everybody, focus your energy. Let's hope that the internetiness works. Is he muted? Hang on a second. I gotta see if the streaming software unmuted him, because my button didn't work. Sam, are you there?
Can everybody hear me?
Everybody say hi to Sam Dan. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me again today.
Again.
Sam,
Nice.
Again, yes.
Yeah.
So before we get started into the A/B test, well, everybody already knows your name, Samuel Dan, because I just said it. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, maybe what you do, and if there's anybody that you would like to say hi to, since this is the internet, give a shout out to anybody that you like.
Yeah, sure. So, full name Samuel. I just prefer Sam. It's just way more convenient for everybody to pronounce. It's just one syllable. I'm a building automation engineer. So I mainly work in automation of HVAC, automation of lighting, so chiller controls, HVAC systems. If you think of an air conditioning unit as a container, I do the Kubernetes of it, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. That's really cool.
Yeah, so air conditioning, lighting, plumbing services, anything to do with a building's lifetime.
Okay. And you do this for one building, or you work for a company?
I'm in a contracting company. Yeah. So I'm working on multiple projects at a time. Oh yeah, I see you have my LinkedIn up. Oh wait,
it's actually your community page.
Okay.
Yeah. Because people are listening to you, so it doesn't make sense that they should be looking at me. They should be because nobody. Is there anyone you want to say hi to before we get started?
No one in particular, but everyone in general. Hi guys.
All right, cool. Well, let me give a quick intro on the A/B test, and then we will jump into it. So, if you're new to the show, the A/B test. The collector bots gathered candidates for the show, and Trufflebot has scored them from 1 to 5 coffees, corresponding to a 75 to 100% probability of being interesting content. He'll post them one at a time to the A/B test channel on Discord, and I'll load them up, and then Sam and I are going to talk about them. Anyone watching live who's in Discord can rate them, and then the final scores are shown when we move to the next item. The total rating for all items shown on the show is used to rate the show itself, and in the future, I'll use these votes to refine the machine learning model. So let me jump over here to the A/B test channel in the Discord, and we will load up. Man, I'm telling you, the stuff that's coming on today is unreal. Well, not all of it, but some of it is... Okay, well, this one's just okay. So first up, we have... Load. There we go. First up, we have a question. Why is Python a perfect choice for big data? Now, I frequently say on the show, like, I'm not a developer. I do development, but I know nothing about development. And anybody who actually knows about development would look at my stuff and be like, oh my God, that's totally inefficient. And I'd be like, yeah, but you know, it works. So I'm like this, the shell script developer kind of person from system administration. But I do all of my stuff in Python. Sam, do you speak Python?
Yes, but I think it's a good prototyping language because it's so easy to just get something started and then optimize later, or just switch to a program or to a language that makes more sense for your application later on. And I do prototype a lot in Python.
What other languages do you use?
Predominantly C++, and there's a specific type of instruction language that's used by programmable logic controllers, PLCs. I work with those as well. But a lot of building management tends to use graphical interfaces similar to Node-RED, because it's a lot more easy to visualize physical processes in that sort of a flowchart. You're not going to find text-based kind of programming very often.
I like Python for a lot of the same reasons, that it's just easy, it's fast, it was easy to learn, the code is readable, and when I was first learning Python 12 years ago, there wasn't readability, like you didn't have Go, so it wasn't there. But since I've been doing all the machine learning stuff, I've run into these libraries that they're talking about here. Pandas that we had on the show earlier this week, NumPy, scikit-learn, and SciPy I haven't used, but there's really good data science libraries for Python. And I was surprised when I read this that Python still has the lion's share of search trending. I don't know how to say this, but whatever. People search most for Python tutorials over everything else. I don't do C or C++. I'm always impressed when I run into people who do, because, wow, that's like hardcore. Do you do anything with data science, Sam? Or have you looked into data science or machine learning?
I've looked into it. I'm interested in like getting it involved in my work, but I haven't actually gotten hands-on with it yet. But it's on my to-do list at some unspecified time in the future.
Yeah, I have a very similar to-do list. So if you're into machine learning, or if you want to learn, if you know Python, Python's got great support for that. Let's score this and move on to the next item. Okay, this is one of the first ones where I was like, what? Yeah. I'm not going to be able to talk very intelligently about this. This is actually, so this piece itself is not the relevant bit. What's relevant is this tweet. And then I'll go back to the other page. The other page is a pull request. And I looked at this pull request. I looked at the code that's connected to it and the issues, and I don't really understand it. But what we have here is Amazon controllers for Kubernetes, the ACK program that allows you to control Amazon resources from Kubernetes custom resources. And there's now some integration with Crossplane. And what I couldn't figure out is, I don't know enough about Crossplane to know if this is, like, how this actually goes together. I think that if you're running Crossplane in your Kubernetes cluster, that you can now use it to deploy Amazon resources through ACK, but I couldn't figure out why you wouldn't just use ACK in the first place. I'm guessing that there's actually something super, super, super cool about this, and I'm hoping that somebody who uses Crossplane... Sam, do you use Crossplane?
I have no idea what it was until today.
Okay. it's been on
Uh,
my list of stuff to bring on the show and talk about. I know they list that they work with Rancher, they work with all kinds of Kubernetes clusters, Kubernetes stuff. Let's actually just really quick go look at Crossplane's webpage. And I know there are people in the community who use it. In fact, I'm going to jump back over to the live chat channel, and there's probably somebody waving their hand and jumping up and down, and okay, they're just talking about the giveaway. So nothing about Crossplane there. So Crossplane is an open source Kubernetes add-on that supercharges your Kubernetes clusters, enabling you to provision and manage infrastructure, services, and applications directly from kubectl. The fact that they're now somehow connected to ACK, and in fact, this pull request that came up is actually from the ACK repo, is quite amazing. Unfortunately, I have nothing else that I can say about that, but it is still news. Sam, do you want to say anything, or should we just move on?
Integration sounds cool. Carry on.
Integration sounds cool. Moving on, I'm actually going to. Oh, interesting. I love seeing how the community rates these, and in fact, I know those of you who are watching on YouTube, I forgot about this. As I was falling asleep last night, it came to me that since you don't see the A/B test channel, you don't actually see any of the scoring. So I will tell you when we move to the next one how these are scored. Trufflebot scored that 2 coffees. I scored it 4 coffees, and the community scored it an average of 3 coffees. Next up, this. Oh, this is good. This. Okay. Honeycomb, as you know, Trufflebot really likes NewStack. And Honeycomb has been all over NewStack the last week because they sponsored, from what I can tell, close to 100% of the KubeCon content. If not 100%. I'm shaving it off because 100%, like, commitment terrifies me. Well, this is an article actually from Honeycomb. And at first I was like, it's going to be a sponsored article talking about their stuff. It's not. Go read this article. It specifically, so what's the subject here? The future of developer careers. Not a very exciting subject, but it drills into what current enterprise expectations are of developers around owning their code in production, joining on-call rotations with varying levels of support, and then it drills down into the difference between monitoring and observability, how you can gain access to the right metrics to understand what the application is doing, how devs approach problem solving different from ops people. It's an amazing article. When I find sponsored articles, I frequently don't go look at the sponsor because I put a heavy case of this is probably biased. I actually went and looked at what Honeycomb did, and I encourage you to do the same. Sam, I'm not really sure, Sam, where you are in your Kubernetes world. Do you identify more as a developer or an operator or neither when you're doing stuff with Kubernetes?
Okay, well, doing stuff with Kubernetes right now is more personal. There's nothing in my day job that requires it yet, but I can say that when it comes to developers owning their code, as a project engineer who has to come up with the programs to control all of these equipment, I am in some sense a developer, but I'm also in ops because I've got to deploy my code. I've got to make sure that test cases run correctly, both in the lab and in the field. And I can see the point that this article is making. You know, there's a bit of things being lost in translation when you are trying to translate the symptoms of problems that are occurring in the field back to what's going wrong in your code. And it is a paradigm shift that maybe developers, I don't know if they could be given some sort of environment that simulates the field better, or maybe the metrics that are being pulled from the field are just, completely wrong or not the right fit for developers. That's about all I have to say, though. I can see the problem, but I don't know where the solution would be.
Everybody's trying to figure out what developers need, what developers want, what developers like and don't like. And I think for me, from what I see, a big part of it is that there's no universal answer to that. Different groups of developers with different levels of skill and different levels of, I can't say GAF. different levels of caring um, have different requirements, and so there's no silver bullet. This is a really good article. There are links in here to things like red metrics from the original Weave stuff, and going back to the SRE, 4 golden signals, to observability. This is not promotional stuff just for Honeycomb. And they even have, so they've got a link to Honeycomb's guide for developing a culture of observability, which is a great, it's probably gated, but that's going to be great as well. Just check this out. Let's move on to something else. It seems... let's see, how was that rated? Wow, okay, so Trufflebot scored that 5, I scored that 5, and the community scored that 5. So go check that out. And Honeycomb, if you're watching, thank you. It's actually from Christine. Christine Yen, co-founder and CEO of Honeycomb. Next up, we have more delicious juiciness. This time on gRPC. Oh, man. I know nothing about gRPC either. I see that it comes up periodically, and I'm like, like it's just, it hasn't come into my world enough for me to figure out what it is. I know what RPC is, and I know what REST is, and I remember building things with SOAP and just general terribleness. This article, in all of the 4 minutes or whatever it took for me to read it, gave me an understanding of what gRPC is and why it's extremely valuable. It's promotional for this new book that Kasun and some of his colleagues have written called gRPC Up and Running. But even if you don't go get the book, this explains very quickly what gRPC is and why it's valuable. If you work with Kubernetes, gRPC is a big part of that. And probably all of you who are watching know more about it than I do and are laughing at me. But if you're on my side of the fence... Sam, do you know anything about gRPC? Have you run into it before?
I think I know less than you do. So I'm 100% on your side of the fence.
The one thing about this article that I didn't go and verify, but that I thought it might be true because we nerds really love recursive humor. It says gRPC stands for gRPC remote procedure calls. Well, no. RPC stands for remote procedure calls. I think the G stands for something else. It's certainly not... no, it's not that recursive, but maybe it is. Yeah, okay, so this was good from an educational standpoint, and let's move on. Whoops. Let's move on to the next item. Hey, how are we doing on... Oh no, we might not hit 50. Really? We're at 44. Okay, well, we need enough time for people to actually join the giveaway, so we had 46. Okay, well, we're not at 50 yet, so if we don't get to 50, then there's no brain dump giveaway this week. It's Thanksgiving. I'm guessing people are just, like, sleeping in and stuff like that, and that's cool. So, back over to A/B test. How was that one scored? Trufflebot gave that 5 coffees, I gave it 4 coffees, and the community gave it 4 coffees as well. Next up, we have more delicious deliciousness. Chimera Cube. Chimera Cube gives you the flexibility and power of WebAssembly to write and distribute admission and mutation webhooks. WebAssembly, something else I know like a minuscule amount about. It's kind of like I brush up against it every once in a while. Solo has done tremendous things with WebAssembly, and the not open service mesh, but anyway, so you run into WebAssembly a lot, and initially it was created as a thing for browsers, but this project allows you to build, let's go to their documentation, allows you to build WebAssembly binaries and distribute them to Kubernetes to use them as admission controllers. And I was like, okay, why? And their argument is that let's see, where's their argument? Why use it? So users can write Kubernetes policies using their favorite programming language as long as the language can produce WASM binaries. WASM. It's a terrible abbreviation for WebAssembly. Policy authors can reuse their skills, tools, and best practices. Policies are traditional programs that can have reusable blocks, regular libraries, can be tested, can be linted, can be plugged into the current CI and CD workflows. Modules are portable. Once built, they run on any kind of architecture and operating system. For example, a policy built on Apple Silicon can be run on an x86 64 Linux server without any conversion. I think this is a very, very strong argument for using WASM for policies. And Sam, I'm just going to throw you into the fire here. What do you think?
I probably know enough to spell it without looking at their webpage. Yep.
Yeah, you and me both. So for starters, they've got... I love your honesty. That's being able to recognize the things that we know and we don't know is an important part of what we do. Like, I have zero problem saying that even though I'm up here on the internet with this camera and stuff, I don't know everything. I know a little about a lot. I know a little bit more about some. I know enough to be dangerous about a few things. But that's what makes all of this so great. Is it's not possible for all of us to know enough, but collectively, we become resources for one another. So initially, they've got support for Rust, Swift, TypeScript, and Go, and we hit 50. Oh my gosh. Okay, pause, because I'm going to kick this off so that it's going to be really short. It's 9:55. It's a 4-minute giveaway, yo. If you want to win the complete Traffic training course today, join the live chat channel on Discord and just click the little thingy. I will pin that message for us right now so that you can find it again. Quickly. I have to find it first. Pin message. Oh yeah. Okay, people are finding it. Okay. So back to this. Yeah, so DSLs, and then basically if you have a programming language that can compile WASM into a binary, then it'll work here. Great documentation on building and testing. Obviously new project, but wow. Shipwreck, if you're watching, you're probably already making that exploding head thing. Shipwreck's a huge, huge WASM fan. Really, the community didn't really care. You kidding? Oh, I see somebody going back and forth between one coffee and... That's really interesting that that largely the community doesn't think this is all that interesting. So, Trufflebot gave it 1 coffee. I gave it 4 coffees, and the community gave it an average of 3. Now, don't take Trufflebot's rating too seriously because he's doing natural language processing of content, and this is like, this is difficult. Okay, probably the last one we're going to have time for today is an article from... Oh, it's not that article. Don't click that. Click the link that's in it. I thought I updated that. Forbes Technology Council has also been showing up in Trufflebot's output over the last few days. This is an invitation-only collective of CEOs, CTOs, CIOs in large companies that come together to talk about businessy related stuff around technology. And their content is interesting because it favors the enterprise side of stuff more than it favors the implementation, development, operations side of stuff. This is an article about how smart cities as a term no longer apply. They're postulating. And that instead what we want to focus on are communities, not cities. I liked this article because I live in a community, even though I don't interact with most of them. I understand that community problems are different from regional problems, are different from city problems. They use an example here about how they used some machine learning to detect the sound of people dumping illegally in places where illegal dumping was known to occur, and that they had local businesses with cameras that were then able to turn on cameras and video people performing illegal dumping. This is good for illegal dumping, water quality management, safer parks and recreation. And we actually have that problem. Somebody dumped a sheep carcass on the other side of my river, and it's just sitting there rotting because they drive out here, they don't care, they just throw it over the fence, and it's just sitting over there. It's a big dead sheep. But that's not a big enough problem for my community, municipalidad, to care about, and certainly the region doesn't care about it. But here, it would be great if we had some kind of technology that could capture that information and then forward that to the police. I've seen technology that detects like license plates that are going back and forth, and it has a whitelist of people who live in the community, and it just records license plates of people who don't, so that it can correspond with somebody came into the community. You have it on both sides of the road, the entrance and the exit, and a house got robbed in the same time frame. So that kind of data collection, I think, is valuable. And this article drills into more realistic use cases of how their programs for communities are doing better than programs that are citywide. Do you guys have any smart city stuff, Sam? You're in Malaysia, right?
Well, yes, it's not really smart city, but there are pushes for smart buildings to be set up to become like the nucleus of a smart city. But that's not going to happen for like another, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. But I think the approach is similar in that you're not taking a top-down approach. You're going bottom-up, which is, like you say, you're solving problems in the community, and you can build your smart city off of a collection of these community solutions. And it seems like a more sustainable way of keeping development going throughout the years. You don't have to. A government doesn't have to come up with, I don't know, $100 billion in funding like to make a city smart. It can make it incremental.
Yeah. For those of you who went and read Demon and Freedom, the books that I recommended, in Freedom they have a really interesting community model where communities produce resources that are shared with other communities, but they're like heavy technology on top of it. Okay, we are at the top of the hour. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. This was fantastic. Is there anything you want to say before I cut you off?
It was great. Thanks for having me. And I think I will make my way back to the live chat and hopefully level up enough to join the gift wars.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. Everybody, big round of applause for Sam Dan. And let's wrap this up. All right, so retiring smart city, community stuff. Let's give that a done. So Trufflebot gave that 1 coffee, and the community and I gave it 4 coffees, giving today's show an average rating of 4 coffees. And now we have a winner. Who won? Duck. Duck won. Duck? No, Duck got level 8. Who won the... Let me look at the pin. Durg. Durg has won today's complete traffic training course. Congratulations, Durg. I gotta get my golf clap on the screen there. All right. Wow. Keep an eye on, join the community site. I'll have these links up later today, but we gotta get out of here because we gotta get out of here. So where's my, how do I end this? Oh, we didn't do tool of the day. We didn't do tool of the day. Okay, shoot. Tool of the day. Man, it's like I don't know what I'm doing. We had a winner. We had the hot seat. Tool of the day today comes from Stephen K. from the community site in response to yesterday. I was talking about Docker Lock, and he said that Docker Lock looks good if that's the only functionality that you need, but he recommended Renovate. Renovate is a universal dependency update tool that fits into your workflows. They have a SaaS service, so you can directly plug it into GitHub or GitLab. They have an on-premise option, an open source project, so you can run this yourself. It's hugely popular, 4,000 stars, 4,700 releases. They're on version 23, and this tracks dependencies and then builds pull requests for your project so that you don't have to track dependencies and do that stuff manually. You can just merge them in and then run them through your CI workflows so that you can keep your stuff up to date. It's got scheduling, some discovery stuff, bot behavior that's configurable. You know, I love bots. Lint-like shared config presets, lock files. Out of the box, it supports github.com and enterprise, gitlab.com and enterprise, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps, and Gitty. And then Bitbucket Cloud is supported but considered beta because not enough people use it. And then open source can be self-hosted and used via GitHub app. It's used by lots of people for lots of different stuff, and it does more than just Docker stuff and even more than just Kubernetes stuff. So it's extremely flexible and came with a rousing thumbs up from a member of our community. That is today's tool of the day, renovate. And now we get out of here. Thank whoever you want to thank that I have a teleprompter that as I was scrolling down to my outro, I saw tool of the day, renovate, Stephen K. from Community. Because otherwise, I'd have probably gotten fired. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. Links to everything that I talk about on the show go up on the free community site at community.cncn.io after the show ends. Community members get early access to the links, video replay, and other exclusive content. It's free to join. People are joining every single day. Congratulations to Derg for winning today's giveaway. If you have something you would like for me to consider for the show, join the community site and post it there so that everybody gets to see it. Mention me in the post or ping me on Discord or Twitter, and then I'll take a look and maybe we'll pull it on the show. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Keep learning. I will see you in the next show. Stay caffeinated.